Galactic Empire had set its sights on Earth, prompting Draco to issue his sole warning before humanity's annihilation. In his dimly lit private office aboard the Sion flagship, Draco paced, his tail swishing with agitation. His aide, Cylon, watched him. "The Empire conquered over 300 worlds in a mere decade," Draco muttered, shaking his feline head. "Superior weapons, impenetrable shields, unrivaled fleets. Resistance was utterly crushed. Why haven't they taken Earth yet? Human technology is primitive. Is Earth even a threat?" Cylon asked. Draco stopped pacing and fixed Cylon with a stare, his yellow eyes gleaming in the low light. "Never underestimate human ingenuity. They salvaged broken or ruined shield generators and made them stronger, redesigned, captured Brinnic plasma cannons to be deadlier than the originals. Humans adapt and innovate at a terrifying pace." Cylon's ears flattened. "But there's still no match for the Empire's military might. Earth would fall in days." "True, but humans breed like vermin. Their numbers surge in mere decades, not centuries like us. Given enough time, they could actually rival the Empire. Hence why the Empire wants Earth conquered now, before it's too late." "How do you know so much about the humans?" Cylon questioned. Draco sighed. "Many years ago, I was a young diplomat sent on a covert mission to Earth to study the humans and assess their threat to the Empire. My reports are why the Empire left Earth alone until now." "What changed?" "A human exploration ship just found the lost wreckage of a Kran worldship in deep space," Draco said gravely. "It held technology that could rival the Empire's if the humans reverse engineer its secrets." Cylon's eyes widened in shock at the implications. Draco continued. "The human scientist who made the discovery was Jordan Rogers, a genius in the field of xenotechnology. He led the team that found the Kran worldship adrift in the Oort cloud at the very edge of the human solar system. How did they even survive on that ancient derelict?" Cylon asked, fascinated despite his growing unease. "Rogers and his crew managed to dock with the worldship and get its life support systems running again, enough to sustain them while they explored the ship's secrets for months. They transmitted their findings back to Earth, not realizing our listening posts were intercepting every message." Cylon nodded. "So the Empire was happy to let the humans do the hard work of unlocking the worldship's mysteries for us before we swept in to claim the prize." "Exactly," Draco confirmed. "But then, 3 weeks ago, Rogers and his team unexpectedly went dark. The transmission stopped, and now both Earth and the Empire have lost contact with them. Why should that worry us? If anything, that's one less problem to deal with when we seize the salvage," Cylon pointed out. Draco's expression turned even graver, because right before the silence, Rogers reported that he had cracked the secret of the Kran alloys that made their ships virtually indestructible. Not only that, but he managed to interface with the world ship's ancient databanks and communication arrays. A chill ran down Cylon's spine. "Communication arrays? You don't mean—" "I do," Draco said grimly. "Rogers claimed to have used the world ship to send a message to the Kran themselves, begging for their help and protection against the Empire's aggression." Cylon felt his blood run cold. The Empire had always assumed the Kran were long extinct. If Rogers had actually made contact with them, it introduced a completely unpredictable variable into the mix, one that could drastically shift the balance of power. "Did they respond to him?" Cylon asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Draco shook his head. "As far as the Empire knows, There was no reply. Cylon let out a shaky breath, relief washing over him. But Draco's next words made his blood freeze in his veins. "Don't relax just yet," Draco cautioned, his yellow eyes boring into Cylon's. "This is the Kran we're talking about. Just because we didn't intercept a response doesn't mean there wasn't one. And if they're aware of the Empire's designs on their technology now—" Draco leaned forward, ears pinned back and tail lashing with agitation. "The Empire tried to investigate the worldship to see what became of Rogers and his team after they went dark." Cylon perked up, hopeful. "And did they find them?" Draco shook his head. "No, but what they did find was far worse. They sent a stealth recon probe to the worldship's last known coordinates. The probe's scans revealed that not only was the worldship gone as in moved under its own power," Cylon asked, eyes widening. "Exactly. The entire derelict that Rogers' team was studying had vanished. But that's not the most alarming part." Draco's claws flexed, scoring the surface of his desk. The probe's deep scans of the area showed residual energy signatures consistent with the worldship being fully powered and operational. Cylon gaped. "That's impossible. Are you saying Rogers and his team somehow managed to bring that ancient wreck back online by themselves?" Draco snorted. "Hardly. I'll grant you Rogers is brilliant, even by the Empire's standards, but the Empire's top engineers calculated it would take even the most advanced human scientists decades to restore a ship that old to working order, if they could do it at all. Then how?" "Think, Cylon," Draco snapped. "What's the only logical explanation given what we know about Rogers' actions before he went silent?" Comprehension dawned in Cylon's eyes, along with a creeping dread. You think the Kran answered his call? That they reclaimed their worldship?" Draco nodded grimly. "It's the only scenario that fits the facts. And if the Kran have returned, if they've taken their worldship back—" Cylon shuddered. "Ancestors, preserve us. The Kran were the most technologically advanced race in the galaxy when they disappeared. If they're back and they decide to oppose the Empire, now you see why the Empire is moving against Earth and why they're willing to risk open war to seize it." Draco's voice was hard. "We cannot allow the humans to ally with the Kran. The combination of Kran technology and human adaptability and innovation would be a threat unlike any the Empire has faced before." Cylon frowned. "But if the situation is so dire, why not approach the humans openly? Explain the gravity of the Kran's return and recruit Earth to help us counter them. Surely the humans would see the wisdom in allying with us against a common foe." Draco laughed, a harsh, mirthless sound. "Oh, Cylon, your naivety is almost endearing. Have you forgotten who we are? What we are? The Empire has spent centuries subjugating and dominating other races. Cooperation and alliance are anathema to everything we stand for." Cylon's ears flattened. "I suppose you're right. And even if the Empire did attempt it, the humans would have to be fools to trust us, especially after what happened to Rogers and his team." "Exactly. No, the Empire will deal with this the only way it knows how. Brutally and efficiently. We will conquer Earth, crush any resistance, and eliminate the human threat before it can combine with the Kran to challenge us." Draco's eyes gleamed with a cold, predatory light. "But is that wise?" Cylon asked hesitantly. "The humans are adaptable, unpredictable. Won't backing them into a corner just make them more dangerous?" Draco's rumbling growl filled the room. "Perhaps. The Empire may indeed be underestimating humanity's capacity for desperate and unconventional tactics, but what choice do we have? If we do not act now, swiftly and decisively, we may not get another chance. The future of the Empire itself could be at stake. As Draco voiced his grim musings, his comms panel chimed urgently, the discordant tone shattering the tense silence that had fallen over the room. Cylon's head snapped up, his eyes wide and questioning, as Draco moved to answer the incoming transmission. The commander's expression darkened as he read the communication, his ears flattening against his skull and his tail lashing with agitation. Cylon leaned forward, unable to contain his curiosity and concern. "What is it? What's happened?" he asked, his voice tight with apprehension. Draco looked up, his yellow eyes troubled. The Empire's invasion fleet has reached Earth, but they've encountered an unexpected obstacle. The planet is surrounded by an impenetrable energy barrier identical in composition to the armor of the Crown worldship. Cylon's breath caught in his throat. Then have they already reached Earth and allied with the humans? Draco shook his head. Impossible. Even if the Crown responded immediately to Roger's message, their worldship couldn't have reached Earth this quickly based on its last known location. Then how? Rogers, Draco said grimly. He and his team must have reverse-engineered the worldship's defensive technology and transmitted the schematics back to Earth. The humans have replicated it on a planetary scale. Cylon's eyes widened in awe. To have implemented such advanced technology so quickly, the audacity of it is staggering. Draco nodded, his expression grave. The Imperial fleet is at a loss. Their weapons are ineffective against the barrier. They're requesting further orders. Surely the Empire will withdraw in the face of this setback, Cylon ventured. Draco's lips twisted in a mirthless smile. You know the Empire better than that, Cylon. Our doctrine is to crush any potential threat completely, and Earth has just proven that it has the potential to be the greatest threat we've ever faced. Cylon swallowed hard, the gravity of the situation settling like a lead weight in his stomach. Even so, he said hesitantly, the barrier alone shouldn't warrant the full commitment of the Empire's resources, should it? Draco's eyes narrowed. No, he agreed. It shouldn't, which means the humans likely have another ace up their sleeve. But what could it be? As if in answer to his question, another urgent chime sounded from the comms panel. Draco turned to read the incoming message, and Cylon watched as the color drained from the commander's face. Draco, what is it? What does it say? Draco looked up, his expression a mix of shock and grim resignation. Moments after the Imperial fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, every ship in the Armada received a transmission from the human government. It was delivered in flawless C. Cylon's eyes widened. What did it say? Draco's voice was flat, devoid of emotion, as he recited the message from memory. Leave now, or face the consequences. Any attempt to penetrate our defensive barrier will be met with extreme prejudice. We possess the power to destroy your entire fleet in an instant. This is your first, last, and only warning. The next move is yours. Cylon gasped, his eyes wide with shock. They can't be serious. To challenge the Empire so brazenly after that ultimatum, it's madness. Draco chuckled, a harsh, humorless sound. You still don't understand the Empire's pride, Cylon. They would rather face annihilation than back down from a threat, especially one issued by a race they consider inferior. As if to punctuate his point, another message chimed on the comms panel. Draco scanned it quickly, his expression unsurprised. Imperial Command has ordered the fleet to launch a full-scale assault on the barrier immediately. Cylon gaped at him. But that's suicide. Surely the admirals must see that. Draco merely shrugged, his resignation palpable. They see only the challenge to their authority. The Empire's hubris has always been its greatest weakness. Together, they turn to the live feed of the Imperial Armada, watching with bated breath as the mighty warships unleashed a storm of firepower against the shimmering barrier surrounding Earth. For a moment, the barrage seemed to have no effect, the shield absorbing the onslaught without so much as a flicker. Then, to their horror, the barrier began to glow, pulsing with an ominous building energy. "What's happening?" Cylon whispered, fear etched across his feline features. "The humans, they've done something to the barrier. It's not just absorbing the energy." Draco's words were cut off as a blinding flash erupted from the shield, a wave of searing, incandescent light that engulfed the Imperial fleet in an instant. Cylon cried out, shielding his eyes, but Draco forced himself to watch, his expression grim. When the glare faded, the Armada was gone. In its place hung a vast field of molten debris, the twisted, slagged remnants of the once invincible Imperial warships. Cylon stared in mute shock, his mind reeling. Draco, however, simply nodded, a glimmer of grudging respect in his eyes. "Ingenious," he murmured. "They've turned the barrier into the perfect defense and the ultimate weapon. It absorbs enemy fire and redirects it back at the attacker, magnified beyond imagining. The humans didn't just copy the Kran technology, they improved it. The Empire, the fleet, how could they be defeated so easily?" Cylon whispered, his voice shaking with a mix of awe and terror. Draco sighed, his gaze distant. "Pride, Cylon. Arrogance. The Empire believed itself unassailable, and in doing so, blinded itself to the potential of those it sought to conquer. Now it has paid the price for its hubris." Cylon swallowed hard, his mind racing with the implications. What happens now? With the Imperial Armada destroyed, what's to stop the subjugated races from rising up against their oppressors? Draco's lips twisted in a humorless smile. "Nothing. And that's precisely what will happen. The Empire's iron grip has been broken, and now every species it once dominated will seek to overthrow their masters. It will be chaos, Cylon. Thousands of worlds plunged into war as each race vies for its own dominion. And at the center of it all," Cylon whispered, "will be the humans, the unlikely victors holding the key to the most advanced technology in the known universe." Draco nodded, his eyes hard. "A new galactic order is coming, Cylon. One where humanity, once dismissed as a primitive backwater species, will hold the power to shape the fate of trillions. The subjects of the Empire's cruelty will become the masters of its destiny." Cylon shuddered both at the prospect and the strange, almost reverent tone in Draco's voice. "Do you think they will be better rulers than the Empire? More benevolent?" Draco was silent for a long moment, gazing out at the drifting wreckage of the Imperial fleet. When he finally spoke, his words were heavy with uncertainty. "I don't know, Cylon. The humans have shown both great compassion and terrible wrath. They have the potential for mercy, but also for a ruthlessness that could make the Empire's reign seem gentle by comparison. Only time will tell which path they choose."